Start. Okay, hey everybody, this is Tom and the Servant. I'm here for another Raw Talk. Just leave some comments leave some comments if you will have any topics you want us to talk about. All right, Tom. Yesterday after our talk, right? I heard like all these CEOs, right?
All these what?
Like CEOs of companies, right?
Okay,
Like
okay.
big top guys, right? Like even like Bill Gates stepped down from Microsoft, to do whatever he's doing now. But like
Right.
there's 1,300 CEOs of like top companies that have stepped down in the last year, and like
Hmm.
there's a lot of um I don't know if it's related or not, but there's also like a lot of um talk about underground there's all these underground apartments that people have been building bunkers and stuff over the years, and there's like some rumor that people are going underground, and
Okay.
then I don't know if you heard about. I'm just giving you a little rundown first, but
Yeah, absolutely.
of Event 201. Have you heard of Event 201?
A little bit, but I know Agenda 21, so I'm sure they're on the same level there, right?
It is. I think it's part of it, but Event 21, Event 201 is billionaires sometimes have these think tanks or whatever about, okay, what would happen if, an outbreak happened or
Right.
whatever. They would come up with their own little story, like, oh, China went down first, and then this country, but this country saved that country. They make the whole scenario like a story.
Right. It's like
And
it's actually like a video game or a movie playing itself out.
right, like a script,
Yep.
of
Yep.
what they think will happen. This government will do this government will do that. This government will go off real fast. This country won't. Stuff like that, right? And this came out. It came out like 2 months before anybody said anything. This is before Kobe, so 2 months
Okay.
before the Kobe crash, right?
Okay.
And it was funded by Bill Gates, and it was all about what's happening right now, and they even named the virus, man, coronavirus, in the
Right.
thing.
Yeah,
And there's
I've heard that. Yes.
yeah, and there's no denying it. It's like it's certain.
I know.
It's like you can get this information. It's it's not disprovable. You know what
Right.
I mean?
To
It's
not
it's
believe it when you see it is just to deny reality.
right.
Yeah, I gotcha.
you know it's just like when you look at these government documents that say, flat earth, flat earth, flat earth. I mean, if you don't want to believe it, that's on you. You know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
it's not deniable. I mean, why would they even put it? But
Right.
anyway, so this script like followed along perfectly, right? Well, it's kind of like all lining up, right? Like, so like in their little bizarro world, right? It's like they've planned this outbreak. The rich people have a place to go. They're gonna flee to a certain spot. Blah blah blah. Another layer on top of that is, while everybody is locked down, they're putting up all the 5G stuff, right? So I don't know a lot about that. I won't speculate, but there's some evidence of that going on, right? And so you got the 5G, you got the place for the elites to go. They have shut down the world. They are crashing the market. That's happening, right? But it was gonna pop anyway. So in their bizarre world, it all fits together for an awakening to happen, right? So someone will come along and save everybody from all this chaos, right? And in our narrative, right, like, as Christians that follow the Bible, right, this is the crash before the Antichrist.
Right.
Like it's starting to look that way. You know what I mean? So I want to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really believe that too. But what I don't understand about this crashing of the market, why do the government keep putting trillions of dollars into it? Is it just, I mean, that must be just like a part of the script too to make it look like they're trying everything they can to save it or whatever. Because I mean, no matter what, it's going to fail. Gas is down again. We're down to 2.14 a gallon. I mean, you know, that can't
right?
be sustained like
It
that.
can
And the more gas goes down, the higher food and stuff and everything else is going to go up. I mean, it's just the way it works. You can't just print money. But I see what you're saying about all these events are slowly happening. I mean, and it's not even slowly anymore. Are preparing the way for the Antichrist, the beast system, and the mark of the beast to come. Absolutely no doubt. No time in human history has it been this close.
no. I mean, it's exact. I mean, what's crazy to me, right, is I always kind of knew the story of how the Bible says the end times will be, right? And
Yeah,
uh, you know, and I get where they say, okay, all these things are going to happen, right? And Mark of the Beast, you know, even you know, with this mandatory vaccine, it's going to be a self swab. So you are doing it yourself. You know what I mean? Like even when they make it mandatory, it's still a choice. You know,
and I don't even
and
think the vaccine is going to be the. I'm not. I don't
I don't
know
think
yet, but I don't think that's the mark of the beast yet. Because
don't
I,
think
I think it's, I mean, unless, unless it has to really, you have to know that it's 666. I mean, there has to be something more obvious than you got a cold, we got to give you a vaccine. Because that just
right.
can flat out deceive,
No,
and I think it'll be, and it's the name of a man for one, right? It's a man's number, a man's name.
right.
So if they call it, you know, the Gates tattoo, then I'm sure it's 666. You know what I mean?
What
So
if
it's
they
got to
call
be
it-
more than just a coronavirus vaccine that'll
But
be that
listen,
mark.
listen. To this. What if they call it the Kobe vaccine? They named the vaccine after the guy,
Is
right?
Kobe 666?
Well, who knows? But like, let's say they do name it after a guy that is a 666 number, right?
Yeah,
Let's say just for instance, right? Okay, they call it the Kobe virus, and his name is equals 666, right?
right.
And they're like naming it after this basketball player, right? Now, I always thought it would be a financial chip inserted inside because it was about buying and selling and all this stuff, right? But maybe that is like the diversion part, right? Where really it's like, okay, you have to get this vaccine and we're going to put a physical mark on your head and you're not allowed to come in the store unless you have this on your head.
I
So,
mean, or for yeah, it could be a tattoo type thing. I like a barcode. I agree.
and what
Uh,
if they name it after a man?
Well, no, I get that too. Well, I mean, that's possible. Then that's when you have to just God will show it to us. I think God will reveal.
Well,
It's
he
no
will.
different than when Reagan got elected president. Okay, everyone
Yeah.
said he was Antichrist because his name
Good.
was Ronald Wilson Reagan, 666. I mean, it's going to be something where it not to do it. As a
Oh,
born again Christian, you know what I'm saying? You will know it's the mark.
I agree. I agree with
I
that.
don't think they're going to come in while you're sleeping, gas you, and
No,
stamp you in
it,
the head, and then also now you're going to hell. God don't
it
work that way.
it can't work that way
Nope.
because it's something we will have to accept.
Yeah, exactly. You'll have to allow them to put it on.
That's why it's important to read the Bible literally, I think, you know.
Absolutely.
Those
Yep.
words all mean something, you know. I mean if you get any of that wrong, right? I mean that's why I never understood the whole front. Okay, so in Genesis, I knew the Bible was a flat earth book. I just figured, oh, okay, well, that's how you had to talk to people back then, you know?
Yeah.
Because I actually pictured in my brain, right, primitive people, as if cavemen were real, you know? I
I
mean,
know.
the Flintstones, and you know, you're like, okay, as a kid, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, someone discovered the wheel, someone discovered fire, someone discovered this, but that's not the truth. We were taught all these things, right?
In
And
the beginning, yeah.
Adam's IQ must have been, you know, 2,000 because you know we're a copy of a copy of a copy, you know, of genetic information, you know. And like
Right.
he must have been super smart, you know, named all the animals, you know, and
And
like
probably in just a few hours too. You know what I mean?
and see, I think that if anything, we're dumb now, and
Absolutely.
it's obvious because of our dependence on electronics. Where I think before we didn't need all these things to connect to each other. You know
When
what I
you
mean?
think about this, you look at ancient structures that are just, I mean, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years old, okay? How,
Yeah,
I mean, and they're still standing to this day, and we have no idea how they built or did these things. Even the concrete they used, we can't even duplicate today. I mean, you have a house now, if every couple of years or so you ain't doing something to it, it decays and rots away real quick on you,
that's right.
right? I mean, you look at the Roman Colosseum or Puma Punku, all these other ancient monuments, stuff that's way older and more complex than the pyramids. I mean, you don't see much of that because they're not as attractive, as the three big pyramids, and it wasn't until recently that we knew that the Great Pyramid over in Egypt is actually eight-sided,
Yes,
and
it
you
is.
only can see that from above. So just think of the technology used to do that when you didn't even have you didn't have a iPhone
Right. No,
or,
not
you know what I'm saying? You didn't have no cranes,
yeah, not only do we not
drones.
have trains or diesel engines or anything like that, right? Like, not only did they not have that, but the mathematical angles of these construct it was perfect. You
Precision,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yep.
Very, very perfect. And a lot of times when they made these like these monolithic structures or whatever, they would line up with celestial objects, you
Most of
know?
them do, yeah. Yeah, even
Right.
when you go look at like the Nazca lines and the Serpent Mound and all those other features like that out there, I mean, they're so massive the average person can't even fathom the scale of what they're at. I mean, it would take you years to mathematically or blueprint it out and to build them today.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
insane.
and see, the only thing that I can think of, right, is well, there's a couple of theories, right? One is there was technology before the flood, which there
Yep,
probably was.
yep,
And I can accept that for sure. But also I'm thinking that, the giants were absolutely real
yep,
and way bigger than us, right? And so
yep,
like sticking some rocks was nothing, And
yep.
and then not only that, but people were way smarter because we were closer to the original man, you know what I mean?
And you go
Close.
back and look at some of the big megalithic like building blocks they have, they got all these different holes and angles that are just cut to precision. I can't remember where those ones are.
Well,
Chichen Itza maybe or something or somewhere over there. I mean, they're just massive. Okay,
those
those
are
things
other
are thousands of years old, Steve. They have no. We couldn't cut stone today like that, and they don't even know what they built or how they even use these things. So yeah, there was technology that was probably thousands of years beyond what we have today.
they probably did it with like focused energy or something. Like I don't even think saw blades, because some of these
No,
angles
no,
are
no.
so
Yeah, it wasn't blades. No, it was something advanced, some energy type thing that they were able to use, and it probably made work very easily because these are big, big structures they're messing with.
it's amazing. When
Yeah,
they didn't really realize how big a pyramid was, even a pyramid, but when they showed like a person standing next to it, it's monstrous. It's a
just one
monster.
block.
Yeah, just one block is like stories above somebody's head,
Oh,
That must be a sight to see that thing in front of you,
check this out. So I was talking to a guy, older gentleman, and he's a pilot, retired and stuff, and I was talking about the pyramids and that how we couldn't duplicate them today, and the guy gets real confrontational, argumentative about it. Yes, we can. I said, we got nothing that can come close to making anything like that again. He
Oh,
goes, I'll
really?
prove it to you. So I'm like, okay. So it was like the next day we went and had breakfast, and while we were eating breakfast, he breaks out this magazine, and on the cover was like a big, huge dump truck. And he goes, here, look at that. I said, okay, now take 1 million of them and line them like a pyramid, make it eight-sided, and make it so it's perfect. The whole length, width, breadth, all even. When you can do that and without machinery and stack them up by hand, then you come and tell me that we can create that.
That's right.
And then,
That's
of course, there's no answer.
Well, not only without the equipment, but with mathematical precision, where they had like the golden ratio and pi, like all these no, all these angles and numbers all line up with each other
And
to
do it,
be.
and they're not set together in joint by mortar. You know,
un- no more.
they just they're
That's
cut
what the
that perfect. They sit that tight.
That's unbelievable. Like even with the mortar, it's hard to get steels like that. You know,
To last thousands of years, anyways. Absolutely.
I mean, it's unbelievable. But this is what I don't understand, right? Like okay, so there was obviously a different kind of technology and different kind of effort to build buildings that we can't build now. But if you look about like say electronics and stuff like that, like in everything recently, right? It's pretty much been invented in the last like 100 years, right?
Yep.
About 150 years, right?
Yep.
And so this is what I don't understand about people like ballers, right? That they would even deny the flood. So this would be actually our pinnacle of technology to them, right? And so why would they think that human beings would be around for 4 million years and like not invent anything but a hatchet, right? And then in the last 100 years build everything.
Right.
Like it doesn't make sense. Like how can anyone think we were here for millions of years and
Right.
only 8 billion people here? You know?
And I'll tell you what, I was watching an interesting video a month or so back, and it might have even been like called mudslides or something along that whole theory thing or whatever. But he was just going around and showing buildings like in Italy and other places that are just a couple hundred years old, and how awesome and well constructed. And and they didn't have machinery back then either to do these. And he's like, where have these, who made these? Where have they gone? Why don't we make stuff like this anymore? I should try to find that in my history and send that to you. Because, like he was saying, even just a few hundred years ago, or a couple hundred years ago, we were building stuff that we don't today with the big, huge arches, and
Yeah,
no supporting pillars,
yeah.
and it's like we don't do that today.
Like cathedrals and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, it was all kinds of
A
that. And
couple years ago.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, just some of the churches and just the town buildings, you know,
we can't do it.
apartments.
That's right. That's right, man. We can't.
And like,
I mean,
I mean,
it's
even with today's technology, it takes years sometimes to make some of the stuff. I mean, did whole cities like that.
it's unreal, man.
Yeah.
It's unreal. Well, it's I'm wondering now, like with how everything's going now, like I knew that all this was going to happen because it's written, right? But for like for like major sports to shut down, for the economy to really, it is going to tank. There's no
Yep.
doubt. It's pretty much. I mean, I'd say it's halfway there, you know. And so that's going to tank. That's going to have to reset. All the major sports are done. Like nobody's really sick except for celebrities. They have a couple of ancillary people. Like,
Uh-huh. Exactly.
yeah, like I'm wondering, right? Because like up where my mom lives, right? There's one case of coronavirus, and my niece is up there with her baby daughter.
Yeah.
I guess that's my great niece or whatever, and she's up there with only a couple cases of water, and she can't really get out, and no one's doing the snow up there to clear it out for her, and so she's stuck,
Right.
and it's kind of it's like I don't know, I'm ashamed of that, that that's happening, and then I was talking to my mom, right, and I'd say she's a Christian, but she's a normie Christian, but even she's saying, oh man, this is blown way out of proportion or something's up,
Yeah.
and but like I never thought in my lifetime I'd see all these things, Tom, is the point I'm making,
See, and
and
here's the thing. I mean, I always believed I would see these things, but I just can't believe it's actually happening now. Because I mean, that goes back to like the early '80s when I was first saved. When I started seeing things. I mean, I pretty much knew, or at least believed that the end times, the rapture, and all that would come in my lifetime. I mean, it actually is playing out right now more than I could possibly believe. That's why, like I tell you, I've been in this conspiracies and these other things for over 30 years, and nothing ever like stood out anywhere near as big as this event does.
Well, and listen to this, right? The last I'd say 10 number one trending songs all had either the name Lucifer in it or were about hell, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's I mean, they're all about the devil, And like nobody's no I don't know if nobody's noticing or like
Here's the
those are
thing. I'll tell you what, you take, excuse me, You can go back to the 50s. You take any artist you want and start looking up their songs on YouTube. And not when you play them, they'll have them play it with the lyrics, so you have to read the lyrics because you can know a song inside out and out, and even know, like you say, you know the words, you memorize the whole song. But it's nothing like when you read the lyrics while it's being sung, you see how Satan was at work way back in the day. I mean, with just even some of the most happiest tunes you think you were listening to were very, very demonic or demeaning towards women. You know, like I don't know if it was Chuck Berry or one of them guys. Almost all his songs were about raping little girls.
Oh my God,
You
it's
know what
just
I'm saying? You don't catch it because he's, such. There seem like such good songs. The music's great in that, but when
I
you
mean,
read the lyrics instead of just sing the lyrics, you're like, no freaking way. This is what this guy's talking about.
just like that song "Teeny Weeny Bikini" or whatever, "Yellow
Yeah,
Polka Dot Bikini," right?
yeah.
Um, uh, they were showing the video of that song, and it was a little girl, like a little 11-year-old girl.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
and
that's disgusting. You know, like why would you even have that as a representation in your video? You
I
know?
mean that's why we shouldn't listen. And I don't.
Yeah,
I try not to ever listen to any music other than I got about one CD that's got some Christian music I downloaded. Other than that, I don't listen to it. Last week I listened
me either.
just a couple. I don't know why it popped up. There was like a song from REO and then one from Boston or whatever. And I actually listened and watched the video, and I started because I mean I haven't heard that any of those songs in like it's got to be 25 years, you know. And it's like when you start seeing how these people perform on stage, you can see the ones that are actually possessed on stage. You know,
And
I'm
none,
like, oh my gosh. I mean, because back then there wasn't no MTV like when Boston came out in '76. Okay, there wasn't MTV. You just heard the song on the radio and like, man, that's a great song. But then when you see them performing and watch like their bass player, that guy, if that dude isn't possessed by Satan while he's playing, nobody has been.
yeah. No,
You
and
just,
here's the thing, right? Like after, okay, so there was like I used to listen to all these songs, right? I loved songs. I used to love like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all those guys, right? And
yeah,
Aero.
yeah,
Wow, this is good music, and I used to enjoy it, right? And I used to think that they were doing like the devil horns, to be edgy, I didn't think it was real for real, right? But
right,
then once I like, so I was saved, right, and had my beliefs in Jesus, right? But then something really clicked in me where it's like, oh my God, like this is 100% no doubt real, right? and 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 everything started speaking to me differently, you know well,
right.
when now when I go back to an old song, right, I still like sometimes I'll still sing an old song that I think is pretty cool, and I would enjoy it if I knew, if I didn't know any better, right?
Right, absolutely.
Now it speaks to me in such a evil way. I'm hearing all the evil words, like, okay, especially that song. No, here's one. It's not so evil. REM, Man on the Moon, right? If
Yeah.
you read those lyrics, right, they're talking about like if you believe that I can put a man on the moon and there's nothing up my sleeve, and something about Newton had an apple and all this stuff, right?
I know, right?
It's like now that song, they're making fun of us for believing in outer space, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm hopefully one will come to me. There's another one that was like that too. I just if I heard it, maybe it's
Remember Major Tom
yes,
from
yes, yes.
I mean, that's just making fun of us right there.
That's the one I'm thinking about.
You know?
Yeah,
That's
and
just
there's tons of music back then during the Apollo missions that it was just pure mockery.
Well, hey, check this out. One guy in in the chats, I mean in the comment section of our last video, he
Hmm.
said, would you like to have a debate or discussion about other views on the shape of the earth, right?
Heck
Meaning,
yeah.
no, but he's talking about like he would like argue for the ball or whatever.
Okay.
And then so this is what I said to him, right? And I said, well, I mean, do you think that that's something that's even up for debate anymore? Like, I mean, it is flat. That's like factual right now. But then I also commented, that, well, maybe for the benefit of the audience, we can have a discussion, but not a debate, you know?
Yeah, and I like that. I mean, I don't want to decline anybody yet because we really want to grow this channel. But I like saying we won't debate, but we'll have a discussion.
Yeah,
And I'd love to. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, right?
yeah. I'd
You
love
know,
for us to be able to ask him questions or whatever that, hey, why do you believe this is true or that's true?
yeah.
You know?
I mean, and the biggest thing for me that I mean, I'd really would love to have a baller answer, but and not just say NASA or a satellite, but just say, hey, show me the curve. Where, why aren't we seeing curvature anywhere? And I don't want to, someone come up with a blackboard worth of formulas, and numbers. Tell me why. I mean, they'll say on a ground at the beach watching a ship go over the horizon, okay, which is only 7, 8, 10 miles out. So you can
Yeah,
see that happen, but you can be 30,000 up in an airplane and not see it because you're not high enough. I mean, which one is it? You can't
yeah.
have both. Either
You
you
can be
can
a
see the horizon
not
on the
see it.
ground, where the curvature starts,
It's
or you
supposed to go
can't.
up like a ball the higher you go up. It's
Yeah,
not.
I mean, and like I tell you what, I sent I told my brother that Neil deGrasse Tyson said that at 100,000 feet that shit is flat, and he goes, no, he never said that.
He
And
did
he
say,
said it many times. So I sent him the video. He
well, not only
texts
that,
me back. You know what he tells me?
what?
That's a voiceover. I don't believe it's him.
Well, here's the thing. And not only did he say that, I could show thousands of feet of footage of 120,000 feet with no curve.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying, even when their own astrophysicist says it, Steve,
Yeah,
is they have to deny it by saying that's not him talking. That's a voiceover.
I know. They
I mean,
resort.
come on.
Yeah, they're going to accuse you of being a liar, and
Well,
you're the man, right?
well,
And
yeah.
they're the other guy. That's
I
what
mean, it's just
bothers
like
me.
people I sent that Nicholson 1968 video to, where they have that Anthony Patch interview and that stuff in there. The stuff I keep getting back is, I mean, if you're going to base your beliefs off of one video and, you know, one guy talking in a video game, you're stupid. I'm like, well, no, I'm basing it off of the thousands and thousands of other videos in the 30 years of research I've done into it.
That's
I
right.
tried telling my one brother about fluoride, and he can't get it. Because if you don't understand what's happened from the 50s to today, you're not going to understand what's happening from today going into the future.
Well,
You
not
have to
only that,
understand the past to realize what's going on in the future here, what they're up
well,
to.
well, 2 points to that, Tom. 2 points to that, Tom. Not only that, right? They'll say, "Hey, you only got your source from one video, and now you believe that, right?" Which I don't know anybody who operates that way.
I know, not even a ball or
Number one, it's many, 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 many sources to where I know it's something that you can't lie about it because there's so many people saying it, right? And
right.
so, but then they'll get all their stuff from one source. You know what I mean? While telling you that you're getting it from one source.
And they
See
wouldn't
what I'm
even tell you the source. It's just something they've been taught when you're in third grade.
right? Or they'll say, well, Neil deGrasse or NASA, or, they'll name like the four sources that they get their stuff from.
But
But
they,
here's
but they've never even went and looked at their stuff. They
they
just
never.
know it's NASA because it was on a telly.
Right. Well, I was showing one guy stuff from NASA, them hanging on wires, and he
Hmm.
was like, "No, that's not them, is it?" They don't even know these guys. I'm like, "Yeah, it is them, man." No,
Right.
he's like, they should be wearing spacesuits or whatever. And I'm like, man, that's TV, man. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like,
I brought up Admiral Byrd and was mocked for that. Who's Admiral Byrd? Well, only the greatest explorer ever to come out of this country. You bring up Don Pettit. Well, he's not an astronaut. He's the longest active astronaut we have in NASA. I mean, no matter what you do, there's always, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It's fake. It's not real. Or then all of a sudden, I don't want to talk no more. That's
right.
how it's gonna roll. Cause no, I mean, but if you spent 10 minutes, like, I wonder if this right. Let me take a look at it and see. Your whole world changed just by that 30-second of
But
dwindling.
why?
Maybe I should look into this and see just in case.
Well, this is what I don't get, right? Why wouldn't you want that to be true? Like
Dude,
if there's a chance that that is really true, then I want to know about it. Like, wow, that I want that to be true.
but the thing is, Steve, everything they've done to our bodies and put in our bodies up to this point has got us to where that's how a person thinks. I don't want to take the time. I don't care. What does it matter? It's the, that's what the vaccinations in the spring the
It,
skies have done to us.
what about all
It makes you subtle. So like you just go along with the flow. It doesn't mean you can't add 2 + 2 no more. But when it comes to it just makes you accept stuff where 200 years ago we would overthrew the government for trying this stuff.
sure, sure.
Now I'm just going to vote for the lesser of the two evil. You couldn't have got away with that in the 60s.
No way,
I
no
mean,
way.
Nixon got impeached for taping some phone calls. I mean, Bill Clinton getting his dick sucked steady in the White House, and it's like, oh, that's just normal.
That's
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
There's been a controversy with every president, man. Since I've been alive,
Yeah,
and it's like, and there's always a sex scandal with somebody, But I also think that that's part of the tranny movement, like
absolutely.
they want you to believe that that's really a man, so they give him a sex scandal, But
That
you don't.
and there's
This
that.
is
Yeah, I mean, and that's
listen to this song. If and this is a strong point.
okay.
Okay, so if celebrities were people like us, right? Just people, regular people that made it big, right? Um, if celebrities and politicians were like us, and if they weren't trannies, wouldn't they be messing around with like other civilian people, right? And wouldn't there be like a recording of their pecker all over the internet? You know what I mean?
I know, right?
Tell me that only 5 people have made that mistake in the last 20 years, like, oh, we've only seen 5 peckers, I mean,
Right.
like that's not realistic, right? And if you look at the symbolism, this is what really got me, right? Like my brain started going deep, right? Is because someone gave me the idea of going in the thought direction of, well, the celebrities are like the children or whatever of the elite people, and they get pushed, right? It's not us regular people, it's them, that get famous, right? And if they have talent, they throw them out there, and push them for their agenda. Now, Los Angeles is the city of angels, right? The city of angels, right? A lot of the elite bloodlines, right? They're saying we're like of the fallen angels,
Yeah.
they're Nephilim spirits, right? And someone said that one of the I know this is getting kind of deep and dicey here, but they said that um, the reason why they do the gender inversion to the children, right, is to get their to is to separate their body from God, and they do some kind of fear thing, and then the spirit is supposed to leave, and a Nephilim can take over. Now that's a little crazy, right? But nothing is crazy to me at this point. And
Yeah.
then you have the city of angels. They all call each other stars. You get a star on the walkway,
Mm-hmm.
and then Satan was a star that came down like lightning.
The bright and morning star, right?
There's a lot of symbolism
Yep.
that Los Angeles is the city of the fallen angels.
Very possible part of I that that would not um
But it's
you know
weird, huh?
yeah, no, but that doesn't blow me away because I mean I think anything's possible. Um, yeah, so
It's speculation at this point. I mean, like, there's
no, and
not.
I get that, but there's a series on Netflix that's called Travelers. I don't
See,
know
I
if you
don't that,
okay.
bro. Yeah,
It's
but
kind
I'm.
of basically it's basically something like that. Like right when a person's going to die, this traveler from the future, just the spirit, you don't see him enters that person, and then the person lives again, but there's not really them. So then they have to learn who they were, like who they might have been married to, and I mean, it just like they're out to save the future. So it's basically what you're telling me there. You know what I'm
It
saying?
see.
Because all of a sudden they'll get this really bad headache, like pounding noise, like, because they're dying. And it lasts for about, I think it's like 14 seconds or so. And then when it gets down to zero, all of a sudden this traveler enters them and they're okay again, but they're a new person.
Wow, man.
That
See,
dude is crazy. And I'll
I
tell you
would.
what, on the season two,
Yeah, but I would.
they had a
That's
big virus outbreak.
like truth in plain sight, Tom.
What's that?
That's I
Yes.
wouldn't. That's like the truth in plain sight, where they're kind of
Yep.
admitting it.
And that's why I think the mark is going to be obvious because I believe what you say, like And what I believe too is they have to we have to know what the mark is going to be. That's why they put all this stuff out there in your songs, in your movies, on it. I mean everything on they're always, even in the cartoons they're telling you the truth always. You know,
Yeah,
they're putting it right in your face, and we just think, oh, that's just a movie or that's just a cartoon or that's just a song. Well, I mean these things all happen. 9/11 was predicted 10 years prior.
yeah,
You know, the Kobe crash. That's insane to have that cartoon and have it play out just like that.
exactly.
You know, I mean, and you can, I mean, it's not just a couple coincidences. You can find thousands and thousands of these things, events.
What do you think about that book, The Last President? I don't know if you ever heard of that book.
No, I haven't.
Came out 100 years ago, and it said that the last president was going to be Barron Trump, and his vice president was going to be Mike Pence. And Barron Trump is Donald Trump's son, you know.
Really, I
And
mean, I've heard that about the popes. You know, I've heard,
right, we do that with
see,
everybody, right? This is real, right? And not only that, but like the Titanic, us being sunk, was a book called something else. I forget what the book was called, but it's exactly what the Titanic was. You
yeah, and
know, like
that was for insurance. I heard that wasn't even a Titanic that sunk. They swapped the Titanic out with one of its sister ships because the sister ship had kind of gotten hit another boat and he could never get it to go straight again. It was always, you know, when it was on the ocean, they could never keep it tracking right. So they swapped that out and sank that for because they were you know that White Star Line or whoever they were fixing to go broke because you know just they needed the money. I mean they had all these millions invested and these ships weren't going out to sea or making them any money. Okay, and that's why that other ship that was really close to it never came and helped because they were out there just to make sure that that thing actually sank, that it sunk.
yeah.
And I think it was J.P. Morgan or one of
Well,
them or a Rockefeller was supposed to go on the ship that day,
well,
but
see,
all of a sudden got ill that morning and couldn't get on the ship.
well, this is what I heard is that there was a number of people that they said were on that ship, like top rich people, right? This is just before the stock market crash, right? And there was a bunch of people that were like old money, you know, that crashed and died in that and all, you know, those people didn't survive or whatever. But they're saying that like those people were never on the ship. They sunk that ship and said those people were on there, and they got all cashed in with their insurance or whatever, diversified their money into other things, and then the crash happened and they were all saved. You know,
I mean, it's
all that.
pretty, and anything's possible. I just know that that thing didn't sink by an iceberg.
A lot of speculation in
You
that.
know, and what's crazy too is when you talk to people like in Australia or the UK and all that, they all know about that the Titanic really that it didn't they know that it was sunk on purpose, and it's like Americans don't. Very few of us know that. You
So
know what I'm
crazy.
saying?
Well, people don't understand that history is the mainstream news of the past.
Right. Yep.
like I mean, so there's this guy that I like, John LeBon. I think you've only seen him on Flat Earth or whatever, where he kind of debates against Nathan, and you know, and he kind of looks like one of the ballers, but he's really, he's not a flat earther, but he's not a ball believer either. And he has a show, and he's like, everything's a hoax. You know, history's a hoax. The World War I was a hoax. Like, I mean, he's like, I mean, deep into like everything being a hoax. You know,
Right. And
and
I think those things, a lot of those events were real, but they were for different reasons than what we're told.
oh,
You know what I'm
right,
saying? I mean, obviously, you know, people who fought in these wars, I mean, they're pretty much all died off now, but as kids, there's, you know, I mean, I remember the 4th of July parade, all the World War II veterans that would march in it. I mean, and that's in every city in this country. You couldn't
that's right,
fake that, but the reason we were there is not what we were told. I mean, it's to set up banks, set up leaders. You know, it's all about the oil in the central bank. I mean, that's it.
that's true.
You know, I
Well,
mean, do you think we care what Saddam Hussein did to any of his people? We don't care about Iraq one bit, but we care about their oil,
that's right.
you know, the money.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's just insane. Like, um, you know how everything's playing out. You know, it's like And nobody like, so I was trying to talk to my buddy, right? I have this buddy that I was like, oh yeah, man, just in case you want to catch up on all that stuff that I was trying to talk to you about a couple years ago, and I dropped it.
Hmm.
Um, because things might be weird happening coming up, and if I've been studying this over 2 years, so if you want some gaps filled or whatever, come talk to me, or whatever. And he said, "Listen, man, I'm not into your little flat Earth stuff or whatever, right?" And I'm like, "Man, this is way beyond flat Earth, man. I'm past that.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and they think I'm like stuck on this thing. It's like, no, that was years ago. I proved that. I watch the debates because it's fun. It's that nothing could be said to me that could make me unprove. You know what I mean? Like I can't
Yeah.
go right. And so but I also have to think, right? He's one, not very, not like most of my friends that are kind of that I keep close to me. I have a lot of friends, so that's why I gotta kind of keep only a few close to me. And so, like, they're kind of like me. They're not very materialistic. They don't really either. They don't have a lot, or they don't talk about it, or whatever. So it's non-materialistic, really. But like, he's one of those guys that like looks like a guy on TV. Has all the stuff in style and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like he doesn't realize that he looks that way because he's brainwashed. Like he's watching TV and he looks like the people on TV. Like it's because they've tricked him somehow to look that way. And he doesn't believe that. Like he will never make that connection. And
Right.
it's crazy, because like it's just like the people with the masks, right? Because my friend had one of my close friends that I went to the VA with. He was wearing a mask, and I was like, man, see, they're already changing your behavior. Like, you wearing a mask or coughing into your hoodie or whatever, like that's, that they've said something, and now you've changed your behavior because of it. You know, that's,
Right.
you know, I mean,
And
it's
here's the thing, sooner or later these plagues and stuff are going to be real, but honestly, I can't, I don't see this as real. I really do think it's a
I,
major beta test.
so this is
And
what I
I
did.
think they've gotten their answers of how those people are going to react. And I don't think it has much to do with them putting 5G in anywhere, because they've been doing that for years. I mean, and it's not, all the protests in California from a few years ago, pretty much as far as I know, are died off, or I'm not seeing any more videos on it. So, I mean, it's common. Everybody's waiting for it, you know. So because that lady wouldn't talk about it, I don't think that's much of a scandal. You
Yeah,
know, I mean, I think 5G is a part of this end time stuff, but I don't
yeah.
think they're doing it on, having this all happen to install antennas.
I think so. I think 5G is important for them. I think because it will give them a little more control over us.
No,
And
no, I mean, yeah, in whatever chips are going to use or readers or the technology, the speeds they need stuff to run at, there's all kinds of things why they're going to need it, I'm sure. But I don't
one of
think
my
they have to do, they're not doing it on a down low, is I guess is my point. It's not
well,
like it's top secret.
oh no, no, it's overt. It's very overt. Well, listen to my theory, right? I was trying to look because PK made a big thing about what are the names of the people. They're not giving out any names, like who died. I want to know.
Right.
And so I was kind of trying to look up names and stuff of people who died, and like my friend sent me one from the news. One guy. I don't even know if it's a real guy.
Right.
But I was looking up, and there's 100 people that died. I forget in what area, but it says, here's what we know about the 100 people that died, right? And so I remember the first guy that I saw that had it on with PK, and he was talking about, hey, look at this goose, and he was saying, oh, I'm standing on the word of God, and that kind of stuff, right? And so I was looking through the list of the 100 people, and it said 80-year-old woman that lives in a parish. Like there's a lot of overtly thing that like some of these people were Christian, right?
Right.
But like
Right.
in an overt way. And so I wonder if they're trying to play it off like, okay, there's a plague that's coming, and anybody can get it, even like here's some Christians that have it, right? Just kind of subconsciously they're saying, well, no, Christians can get it because look, the Christians have gotten it on the thing, and they want us to be afraid. that anybody can get this thing, right?
Well,
But
it's. I think it's even deeper. I think it's that. Okay, this person is a Christian and they died from it. God didn't save them, and that's subliminal. Saying that, and then you need. Then you'll have Christians taking the vaccine on TV. See, you'll have Christians, actors. You'll have a big name pastor probably get one. You'll have big name doctors. Nicolas Cage will get one. I mean, so it's if it's in every group, it's okay to take that shot.
right, but here they overtly said, like they're overtly making it like every fifth person is Christian, right? And I think it's because these pestilence that's coming from God are going to attack them. But they want us to think that them is us all in one group and God's attacking all of us.
I
Or some
agree, and I can't say for sure if we're hearing them come if we won't get sick because it's appointed on the man to die once. So
hard to speculate, but there's a reason why they're saying Christians are getting
yeah,
it.
absolutely. Yeah, I know. I
And
agree, and what that reason is, I don't know, but I think it's just to, to to ease
yeah,
Americans because I mean it's even though we're not really Christians, we consider ourselves Christians because most people go to church 1 hour a week and say a Hail Mary or two.
that's
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
We're really just followers of Jesus Christ, the true Lord,
But I
The
mean that's
true.
me and you. But 90% of the Christians aren't Christian.
Now they were showing this the first guy when he was saying, "Oh, I'm standing on the word of God," and I was in church and the enemy attacked me, but he never said Jesus was God. He never said that Jesus was his savior, or whatever, or even said anything about the Trinity. He didn't say any of that. He said, "I'm standing on the word of God."
And he's probably
Well,
standing on a Bible because he's probably a Luciferian. So because someone says that doesn't make him Christian. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make.
yeah, that's his point, right?
Yep,
So, but
yep,
I'm saying is the symbolism of that is that he's standing on a Bible,
right.
physically standing on a Bible,
Yep.
right? Because if you're believing on the word of God, then you know that pestilence will come. You're not going to be worried about dying.
Dude, who do you think's going to be the last to resist?
It's going to be. I mean, and I
I'm
mean, if there's
seriously think about it. It's going to be the born
if
again Christian, right? Who's
there's
truly up on stuff. I'm not talking someone who's been saved for 20 years have been backslidden. I'm talking about people like me and you and some of the friends we know who every day are striving to get closer to God. We see things that are going on. We're going to resist to the end, right?
yeah,
So, I
absolutely,
mean, the typical person sitting in a pew for 2 hours on Sunday, he gonna, be the first one in line,
yeah, you're
because
right.
he hasn't read his Bible in 15 years, but he goes to church every Sunday, so he's okay. But that ain't reality with God.
Well, listen to this. Listen to this. Let's say there's like a 60-year-old guy, right? He's saved up, pretty much saved up his money, and he's getting ready to retire, right? He's got a couple million maybe, and he's comfortable with that. His kids are all through college, right? And he's diversified his money in a way where you know what? He survived this little crash, right? And then they're gonna say, well, if you don't take this mark, you have no access to that money, man,
Uh-huh.
and you don't have access to no services or anything. Just like they're going to tell me I'm going to lose my benefits if I don't take the
Yeah.
mark.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have to be prepared to say, okay, well, this life really isn't important to me.
No.
Like it's like if you want to save your life now and have a decent life, you're going to lose the next one. And if you want to give this life up, you'll get them.
Absolutely.
You know,
It's
and
like I
that's
was, for some
good.
reason, God this morning before I read told me to look up the word mammon. Like when it's used in the Bible, you can't serve God and mammon at the same time.
Yeah,
You know what that word mammon means?
I'm curious now.
Assets. It's
Um,
financial. So
wow.
you can, I mean, I was stunned, and that was in the strongest Strong's concordance is where I looked that up at. And it's used. That word is used 3 or 4 times in the New Testament, and every time it's used the same. So you can't serve God, and basically any earthly anything, whether it's your TV, your couch, or like you say, your 401k. It's God or bust.
Yeah, all the way. I mean, we are going to suffer, my friend.
Yeah.
we're gonna lose everything, you know.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, be prepared for that, you know. If 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 there's some way to get some of us, like, you know, real people that are really awake kind of closer together, but it's hard because we got our kids and everything, and it's
Yeah, and
so hard.
I'm just so thankful both my kids realize what's going on, and I told them both. I mean, if stuff really hits the fan, you pack your stuff and come down because I want them to be with me so I can be hopefully strong for them. Because I mean, they both got career jobs. They both just bought houses recently. Neither one is married. So I mean, they're not that they're alone, but they you are alone.
Yeah,
Especially if you don't know other people that really know what's going on. So I mean, I want them to don't worry about your mortgage, don't worry about your electricity bill. This is all about Christians being together and surviving till God takes us home, either till the rapture comes or we get killed and go into paradise then. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to, and I want them with me so that they're strong and don't have to fear.
you know, now that you said that, you know, I think because I wanted to be on the move anyway because I don't want to have a stash to guard, you know. And
Yeah,
so I think for me, like, I would probably go down closer to my youngest son and his mom, you know, like just to be down in that area
yeah,
for in case he needs me. And I know that if he got saved, his mom would get saved too, you know. So you know, it's hard to say what my youngest son's gonna do, but he's open to that stuff now, you know. And so, you know, I'm just so proud of my boys, you know, and so happy about how they are as people. I just really want them to, you know, to go that next step, you know, you know, that's everything to me. And I think my oldest one is, but you know, it's hard not to know for sure, you know.
right. Hey, I'm gonna read you. I remember I was telling you I sent that video out to a bunch of people, and I was getting some hate text back and stuff like that. Because I just want people to see, to be, open your eyes and start looking into and seeing what's really going on. Okay, and I'm not going to say who it's. This is from someone very dear to me though, and this is like towards one of the last texts we got, and this is what they told me. They said, "I'm doing my part to help contain us. We've lost a lot of money in the stock market."
Oh,
Okay. And then there's a little bit more after that, but it's irrelevant. But see, and a person is probably a Christian, but backslidden. I've known this person for many, many years. And it's like, that's what we've become now is, our 401ks, we got a new condo or, whatever, because we get caught up in living in the United States, the country of want.
yeah.
And it's sad. I mean, but that's the kind of stuff when you're trying to open people's eyes. This is the response you get. I'm doing my part. Well, it's not even really. There's nothing you can do to stop it. For one. Secondly, you're serving and more worried about your money than you care about souls going to heaven. Because now it comes down to and just getting closer to God, trying to get as many people saved as you can. All you can do is preach the word. Hey,
That's
this
a
is Revelation. This is end times. Man, if you ain't right with Jesus, you better get right with him now.
That's it. Well, this is what I did is, you know, like when I start going hard on the kids, they kind of resist, you know, and
Uh-huh.
so sent them both to prayer, you know, to be saved, you know, and I said, you know,
Yep.
this is just a case, you know, if things get down to it, you know, this is the prayer, you know, this is what you have to do, you know, that's the minimum thing, you know, and
Right.
what I'll do is I talk to my youngest son almost every day. And so I just plant the seed a little bit here and there, and I think he's opening up to it a little bit. But you know, I'm not going to put. It has to be real to him. He's got to accept this for himself.
Yeah.
You know, he knows what I believe, and he knows what the only thing I want on earth more than anything is for him to be saved.
Absolutely. I'll be
And
praying for that too, Steve.
please do. And
Absolutely.
this is the truth, you know.
Yep.
And then my oldest son, I told him to get saved, and he didn't resist that. You know, he's like, okay, you know. And his girlfriend that he has now is, you know, Christian and going to church, but who knows what that means, you know?
Right.
And I'm really proud of him, and I know that if he said he'll do something, he probably did it. But I also wonder, well, how real is that? Is he just does he understand what that means? You know? Um,
What I would do on that, I mean, I would just send scriptures here and there. Hey, check out John chapter 3, or things like that. And then after whatever, just say, hey, did you accept Christ as your Savior, man? You know,
yeah,
you don't want to be just pounding, because I mean, all you can do is plant the seed. God does the watering. You know what I mean?
that's
So
right.
you got to
Well,
be
and
careful on that, because we can't save anybody.
absolutely, absolutely. Well,
You
another
know,
thing is when I prayed about it, because one time I pushed my youngest son pretty hard, and I felt really bad about it. I felt really bad because he kind of resisted it hard, and it almost kind of broke up we have a very tight relationship, and it almost broke up our flow. And we get along
right?
so good. And I prayed about with both my kids. I'm like, I just want them to be saved, God. And I don't ever hear God's voice, but I get these feelings if it's going to be okay or not, and I
Yeah,
have the feeling that it's going to be okay. And then the thought came to my mind that God loves them more than I do, and that's hard to believe, but it's true.
right. I know.
And I plant the seed and try to help other people, and I know that there's generational curses and blessings, and I'm just going to try to be the best I can be with sexual integrity and with trying to do all the right things, not following the law for my salvation, but just to make God happy, and I hope that that trickles down because ever since I've been doing that, my kids have done so well. And
Right.
before they were kind of struggling in high school and stuff, they were having some struggles, but their world's better now, and I don't know if that made a difference, but I think it did.
Absolutely.
You know,
It doesn't just praying. I mean, God honors that. I mean,
yeah.
big
I pray
time.
all the
It's,
time,
it's,
buddy. I love God, man.
yeah.
I keep praying like I want to know more about you. I want to know what I'm supposed to do. Like I know the Bible's there, but I want more interesting and entertaining ways, and like I want to be excited and crave the Bible. I want to crave it.
Right.
And I
Yeah, I know.
like
I hear you.
because I'm just like, hey, I want to do what you want me to do. I'm like, if I have the wrong doctrine, I just want to love you the way you want to be loved. Like you know that my heart is seeking you honestly. And
Have you ever spoken tongues?
no, but I've been to churches like that, and I don't know. Is that real? Is that
Oh,
you know?
absolutely. My
Yeah, because
my wife has, yeah. She has recently too. I haven't, but I like to. I think I've come close a few times,
yeah,
and then I just don't know if it's me not go ahead and letting that spirit come and float in that, because that's a gift. I mean,
yeah.
but I'd love to, maybe we should pray for each other that we'll get that. You know what I mean?
Like it's hard because like being in California, right, is and like I've been to other states, like 14 or 15 other states, and there's just no place like this in the world. It's crazy. It's okay. It's different in the fact that it's like life is very fast and very expensive. You need like five roommates to make it.
Right.
You have to make decisions, very quickly on what you're going to do, before someone else gets it or before you lose out. And there's a lot of scammers, man. A lot of churches that are just businesses, and you
Right.
will come across people faking that kind of stuff, and it'll make you kind of lose faith. You're like, oh, is that guy faking it? Like, is this even real? Like you
Right.
wonder.
Oh no,
And
it's speaking in tongue. I mean, it's a gift. When you read when the Holy Ghost first came to the apostles, I mean, that's the first thing he did. Every one of them
that's
spoke in
right.
tongues.
That's
So I
right.
mean, it's real. I mean, it's one of the
No,
gifts, spiritual gifts.
I believe it is real because okay, how like in Acts it said that the guy was talking and everyone heard in their own tongue.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so that thing that they sent out on Facebook. It was like you either heard Laurel or Yanny. It was that like some people heard Laurel when they played the tape. Some people heard Yanny.
No, I don't know.
You
You
know,
have no idea what you're talking about.
well, it was like one of those. It's like one of those things where like you look at a picture and like the kids see dolphins, but you see lovers making love.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
like two people see two different things. Like
I
it's the
got you.
same, but some people see five dolphins, some people see lovers. Well, it's
Yeah.
one of those things where like some people hear the word Laurel, some people hear the word Yanny and it's the same thing playing.
Oh,
And
no
that
kidding.
that shows me, right, that that is physically possible. That is something provable and demonstratively possible. So when he was speaking, when they're speaking in tongues and everyone is hearing their own tongue, that's a real thing that can really happen. You know,
Right. Oh, absolutely.
that strengthens my faith so much when those. And if I wouldn't have been reading the Bible, I would never have thought of that. But I make those connections when I see stuff in real life. I'm like, wow, that means that that has to be true. You know,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and it like me, it just puts my heart on fire for God. You know.
Yeah,
I'll
no, that
send you the thing. It's like it's Laurel or Yanny, right? Like you'll play it and like say like your wife will hear a voice that says Yanny, and then you'll hear like Laurel or vice versa, or you might hear the same thing. Who knows?
right. No, I
But
get you. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, no, that's
same thing.
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so. It's demonstratable, right?
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I do believe in the tongues, and I have been to churches that are like that, you know.
And just
And
because you got a church full of people doing it doesn't mean it's actually real or that it's real for everybody. Some people might just be babbling, but speaking in tongues is a real gift. I mean, it's
uh,
mentioned under the gifts that God gives us, along with
yeah,
healing and prophecy and all the other stuff. So, but just for some reason in the past couple months, I mean, years ago, I prayed for it, but now for some reason recently, I've been wanting that gift
yeah,
because it is a gift to speak in tongues. So I've been praying and asking for it. So I
yeah.
pray one day I'll get it. You know what I mean?
This is my last question before I let you go. I know I'm wearing you out probably, but
I'm at work, so
check this out, right? Um, I can tell like when somebody's talking to me or if I'm watching a video or whatever, I can tell if somebody's telling me the truth or not very easily. I mean, it's like I can tell when someone's being genuine and
yep.
when someone's not being genuine, and it's like very easy to me. And then I'll show something to like somebody else, a friend or whatever, and they don't get it. I don't think. Is that a gift or do you have that? Because I
I,
know a
oh,
lot of,
I'm like that too. I mean, I think that's why we see so many things we do.
and I think I
Here's the
think
thing, though. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm gonna get on you about something.
yeah, my
Not in a
like.
bad way. It's funny. It's meant to be funny. But
Criticize.
you had to time a guy out the other day on Arlen's,
I
and
didn't
then when
time
he
him
was at
out.
Nathan's, you apologized. I was dying laughing, bro.
Oh yeah,
I can't
yeah.
remember who it was, but you timed them out, and then when we went to Nathan's, you're like, "Sorry, bro, I didn't mean that. I didn't want to do it." And I was like, "Come on, man, it's just a 2 minute timeout."
No, hey, listen, that's the guy that wants to come on our show, Dad's Studio.
I thought so. Oh
I told him he
man,
wants to be my friend, you
but
know.
dude, let's try to get Daz on.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get Dad's. I think he's some kind of foreigner or whatever, but whatever. You know,
Let's
he
see.
might
Let's
be.
find that out. Him or Mark, and then we'll do Arwen. Let's get Arwen on. Let's get Arwen scheduled for next week sometime.
Why I want to get Arwen on talking about light for at least like 20 minutes, right? Is
Absolutely.
yeah. Thanks a lot, guys, for listening to Raw Talk with Tom and the Servant, and please leave some messages in the comment section, letting us know what you'd like us to talk about, or anybody that would like to come on the show. And thanks for listening.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace out.
Like and subscribe, baby.
Later,
All
Steve.
right. See you later.